India's economy returned to growth in its fiscal third quarter after a recession earlier in 2020. GDP grew 0.4% on year in the December quarter. That's a mild recovery, but still significant after shrinking 24% and more than 7% in the previous 2 quarters. India is one of the few major economies to post growth in the last quarter of 2020. Economists say the recovery is expected to gather pace as consumer demand and investments shake off the effects of the pandemic. However, some analysts warn that a recent rise in crude oil prices and a surge of COVID-19 cases in parts of the country may pose risks to recovery. Let's get more with Rebecca Bundan in Mumbai. Rebecca, a turnaround for India's economic fortunes. Does the government expect this momentum to continue?
Yes, so 0.4% growth in that October to December quarter on the year, which is just slight growth, but it's seen as positive because it does signal India emerging from that recession as it was hard hit by those lockdown restrictions last year and then started to open up gradually. And that's seen in the numbers that have come through. And then in terms of forecasts now, the government's economic survey shows that in this current financial year, which now runs until the end of March, it's expecting a contraction of 7.7% as it factors in that hard hit of the lockdown last year, which resulted in a 23.9% contraction in the April to June quarter at the peak of the restrictions. And then going forwards, though, in the coming quarters, there is expected to be a significant pickup in growth and quite a bit of a recovery, really, with the forecast of 11% from that economic survey, 11% growth, that is, for the next financial year, which begins in April. But there is, of course, that low base effect that we have to take into account as well. But looking at these numbers that have come out from the government, the latest official numbers in terms of the GDP, we do see some positive signs in certain sectors, like construction, for example, showed more than 6% growth in that October to December quarter. Agriculture was also at 3.9% growth. Financial services, real estate and professional services also showing a rise. Not surprisingly, though, sectors including trade and hotels and transport was down quite sharply. So there are some sectors that still have to emerge from the effects of the pandemic and the lockdown restrictions, and they're still struggling, but other sectors are actually showing quite positive signs of a revival, according to the numbers, the latest figures that have come out.
Right. Thanks, Rebecca. Rebecca Bundan in Mumbai.